All right. Great evening, great people, and welcome to Sister to Sister Talk Power Moves. We're excited to be live tonight. Come on in the room. Great evening, great people, and welcome in the room. We're super excited to be live tonight. Come on in. Welcome to Sister to Sister Talk Power Moves. I am the visionary and host, Mone't Horton, and of course, we are here with our super amazing co-host, Lady Tiara Parker. Say hey to the people.
Hey, 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 everybody.
Yes, yes, y'all hear that? How she goes up on the note. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is a place where you can elevate. This is a place where you can rest assured that you'll be transformed. But you got to tune in. You got to lean in, and you have to get ready for the action, intentional action. Anybody out there ready to make a move, a power move? You're tired of just the same old. And well, this is the place for you. Go ahead and click and share. Sharing is what we call caring. And Sister to Sister Talk Power Moves is the place that you want to be. Listen, y'all, it is hot outside. And I think I have everything blowing on me right now because want to stay in the flow tonight. So again, go ahead, get your air, your fan, whatever you need, get in position, plug in because you are in for a treat tonight. We are here tonight with a very special guest. Listen, we know that this is a divinely set appointed time now that we have this amazing woman who is a trailblazer in her own right. Miss Chou Hallegra, Be Well Lady, is the founder and CEO of Grace and Hope Consulting LLC, where she writes, trains, consults, and coaches to promote resilience, social emotional learning, human potential, well being, and belonging. Guess what? For all. She has 24 years of experience helping people, organizations, and communities flourish with postgraduate training in rehabilitation counseling and as a certified trauma competent professional. Come on now. She has a wealth of experience delivering impact to individuals and families. As a certified leadership speaker, trainer, and coach with additional certifications in emotional intelligence. That's so important today. Career coaching, employee performance, and mindfulness. She also has experience delivering impact for organizations and leaders. Chou has devoted her life to helping individuals and organizations alike to be well, do well, work well, and guess what? Lead well. And has received recognition for her work, including being selected for the 2023 Central PA 40 Under 40 list. We are super excited. So, welcome, Miss Chou, to Sister to Sister. Welcome.
Thank you, thank
Welcome.
you, thank you.
Oh
For
my
having me.
goodness. Wow. I was like, she is doing amazing things. And we thank you for taking the time to come out to Sister Talk Power Moves. Ladies and gentlemen, again, if you're tuning in tonight, you're in for a treat. Grab your pen, your paper, your notepad, your electronic device. Use that notepad in that. Do what you need to do so you can transcribe these notes because tonight, we are talking about being well, doing well, working well, and finding balance God's way. I don't know if I would have any other way now that I know, but they say when you know better, you do better. So there's no other way for me. But tonight I think that this is very important because it's so much going on in our world and so many things changing literally by not the day, by the minute, by the second. Um, and so, in doing that, being able to stay resilient and in purpose, people hear us talking about purpose and execute and walking out the call that's on your life. And so I believe that this is a topic that's needed and necessary. And clearly, you are competent um, and an expert in this area. And so we welcome you to, as we share here at Sister to Sister Talk Power Moves, we flow. And we like to talk about that story behind the glory. The story behind everybody see you moving, doing well, being well, leading well. But I read your bio, but who is Chou Hallegra? However you want
Yeah,
to start.
yeah. Well, I am a mom. I am a sister. I'm a daughter. At the end of the day, I'm like many of the people that I support. And like you say, there's always a story behind the glory, right? I had to go through the same things that I now help others do, others overcome, because I know the pain of being there, being in that ditch and needing somebody to pull me out. And even when I was out, I needed somebody to walk alongside me in a way that made sense to me, in a way that incorporated my faith, my values, so that I was in alignment with my creator in my way to wellness, my way to well-being. So all of that being said, my backstory is that oh goodness, I'm never sure where to begin. So let me take you back uh, 17 years ago. I found myself depressed in my room with a bottle of Zoloft and literally telling myself there was no more reason for me to live. I could not live like this anymore. And if this was living, I didn't want any part of it. And as I opened that bottle, I still get emotional because 17 years ago, my daughter was 2 and now she's 19. And ironically, or probably not, because I figured I believe in divine alignment. Her name is Hope. And she is my hope, literally. Yes, my hope is found in Christ. But God gave me a second hope for her. So as I was sitting there in my room, ready to open that bottle, she popped in my mind. And the first, after I kind of saw her face in my mind, the second thought after that was, do I want her to grow up without a mom? No matter however my life, ended or would end per se, I did not want her to grow up without a mom. Because although my biological parents are alive, but I've had a lot of childhood trauma in so many ways. And there's such a beautiful story of redemption there. My mom, I just talked to her yesterday. She is a beautiful sister in the Lord and like my best friend. But we've been through some hard times, and I know a little bit what it feels like to not have that emotional connection with your mother, although the mother and father even, although they're physically alive. And I couldn't think about, imagine my daughter was growing up without me there. And because of her, I closed the bottle. I called my therapist. And she said, get yourself to the hospital as soon as you can. Call 911, get in the ambulance and go. I'm like, no, I'm going to drive there. She's like, you shouldn't be driving right now because for safety reason, obviously. But somehow
Mhm.
God gave me the strength. I drove myself to the ER. Long story short, I ended up in a psychiatric hospital, and I I was there for about a week, I believe, and I think it was like maybe day 2 or 3. I was on the floor in the bathroom. So in that hospital, I shared a room with another female who was also there for uh mental health challenges. And so the bathroom was the bathroom that was actually in our shared room. And I was on the floor, locked myself in there. And I can't even tell you why. But I remember again in that moment telling myself, I cannot live like this. I chose life, but no less than a week ago. But if I have to go back home, I do not want to go back home just surviving, because what I experienced was not life, was not living, right? I want to go back home and have something bigger and better than myself to live for. So I remember them coming knocking, getting me out of there. Fast forward after all of that, God has brought many people on my path. Was people in my spiritual journey, people my mental health journey to help me, but I could never find until later, like those that during that time of healing, I couldn't find people who could combine the two. I had great therapists and psychiatrists who talk to me about how the brain works and how this medication will help with that and help balance the hormones in your brain so that you can think well and you can focus and you can enjoy life again. You need that dopamine and all that good stuff. And then I'll see my people of faith will say, well, just hold on to faith, God had purpose for you. And then when I start talking about mental health, they're like, "Oh, you need to hold on to faith a little long, a little harder." So although I felt supported and people prayed for me in the faith community, I also felt that people didn't understand what I was dealing with. In a way, I and they didn't always say it this way, but in that moment of pain, it appeared, and this is how my brain interpreted it. I was not strong enough to even be called a Christian, right? I was not happy enough to be called a Christian. I was not peaceful enough because anxiety was rampant, right, to be called a Christian. And I couldn't easily have those conversations with people who believe like me. And then when I was in my counseling session, I couldn't really fully integrate my faith. Like, they gave me great tools and they respected my faith, but they couldn't really combine the two in a way that made sense for me. So through all that, I then found my purpose. Now I know, and it's a series of events, from dreams, from literally hearing God's voice telling me, comfort my people. I know I was called to do this, and that vision got bigger and bigger since I started. I was doing individual counseling, renting a small Sunday school class in my church, my previous church, and then we grew from there, doing coaching, doing training in the workplace, trainings, online, conferences, online courses, and the rest is history. Like, writing books and speaking as well. Wherever God leads me, I go, because I also found out that many of us had in our jobs, many of us had in our parenting, right? I made my kids an idol after my divorce. Many of us hide in our roles as caregivers. I have family members who had health issues, and I was a primary caregiver. That became my identity. I forgot who I was because the hats on my head, all the responsibility that I had on my shoulders, started to define who I was.
Wow.
And in losing myself, I could not be well. I could not do well. I could not work well. I definitely could not lead well. So today, I now help others do that, be all they're created to be, so they can enjoy the abundant life that is theirs in Christ. And so that together, right, we can make a difference on this earth.
Well, you just said a mouthful. You said, but which I just had to write down. You said I forgot who I was because of the hats that I wore on my head. How many people out there are they don't even know someone would ask them, who are you? Who are you? And they'll start describing their job. They'll start describing their employer, what they do. But no, who are you? They're identifying by their roles and the hats that's on their head. But no, when someone asks, who are you? I was found in that same place. Every day I still ask myself, because I believe it's is a journey of transformation and searching and finding. But that really hit home because the hats that are on our head, sometimes we can be so consumed that we don't with others and what in being and doing, even though we want to be, um, we get lost. We lose ourselves.
That's so true. Can I say, um, you said you made your child an idol. That that hit home for me because I
Mm,
feel like as parents, um, our kids can become our whole world so easily to the point that there's no room for us to exist outside of being a parent. So you saying that it just really resonated with me because it's so true and it happens every day. And we don't realize it until it's too late. We don't realize it until the child is gone. They've grown up. It's time for them to move on, move out. And now we're stuck in this place of what do I do now?
Yeah, yeah. I can't tell you how many people I've met, and I've been there. I just share my own story. Many people I've met, moms, and I'll ask them, what do you love to do? Like we talk about self-care, finding balance, right? Kind of around those veins, along those lines. And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, when is the last time you did something for yourself? I don't know. When before you had kids, I can't remember life before kids, right? Because they become
Yeah.
our identity. Children are a blessing. Don't get me wrong. I
Yes.
love my kids. But and like I said, for me, I got married at 21, and my youngest one is now 11 years old. But I was 8 months pregnant with him when I separated from their dad. So I'm here, a single mom with two kids and one on the way that was ready to pop out in a month. And like I said, I got married so young, and so I even I pretty much transitioned from a child to being responsible for too many people
Yeah.
at once, right?
Mm-hmm.
And although again, my children are a blessing, but in that moment, because I didn't know who I was, I kept finding myself out of balance. So when we talk about
Mm-hmm.
even finding balance, it's not always about, oh, what do I put on my schedule? It starts with who I am. Who am I
Yes.
today? Who am I in this
Yes.
season? Right? And yes, there's a lot of responsibility, but if I really knew who I was, to be honest with you, let's be real here. If I knew who I
Yeah.
was, I probably would have not even married as early as I did. Maybe I've never
Yeah.
Mm.
married the same person I've married, right? Let's be real. And it wasn't until after that time of divorce that I started finding who I actually was, the things I love to do. That I was an author, that I love to counsel people, comfort people. I love nature. I will chase sunset and sunrise like it's nobody's business. And my kids like, where are we going again? When we were so young, too young to stay home. They're like, do I really have to come? I'm like, hey, mom, this is what makes me well. Well, it's the little things that make life meaningful for me. But back
Yeah.
then, I didn't even know that. I was so busy trying to be the wife, so busy trying to be the sister to someone else, right? Whether in faith or in blood, right? I was too busy trying to be the employee for someone else that honestly, I didn't have an identity. I
Mm.
didn't have an identity. And if we're
Mm.
so busy being somebody else for being someone for someone else, then we actually are nobody to anybody. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
Mm.
makes perfect sense. Yes. Yes.
Because we
That's
Yes.
can't
so
hold on
good.
to
That
that.
makes sense.
We can't hold on to that. I can fake it until I make it, but I can't fake being somebody that I'm not and be able to sustain that without me being drained
Yep.
physically, emotionally,
Yep.
spiritually, even sometimes financially.
Yes.
It's so not like when you operate in your true identity and who you are, who you're created to be, it just flows out of you. Like I don't,
Mm.
when I do these things, feel like did you prepare? Yes, I did. Like kind of, we had a plan. I know what I'm going to talk about. This is the focus, but I can't even quote unquote rehearse what I'm going to say because it naturally just flows, right? It flows out of me.
Yeah.
But if
Mm.
I was coming here trying to be someone else, and then I will have spent so much time stressing myself, probably not even sleeping, right? Like I was saying earlier, I flew from Texas last night, and I probably would have, if I was pretending to be back then, I would have probably stayed
Mm.
up night trying to figure out what do I need to say, how do I need to say so that it
Mm-hmm.
fits this group of people, so that they see me a certain way.
Yeah.
No, I don't have to be seen a certain way, right?
Nope.
I don't have to be seen a certain way when I know who I am and I'm confident in who I am.
Yeah.
That's powerful. That's power. That's where the true power resides. And wow, you were saying that you were saying that you on your journey had to you had your faith, but then you also knew you had this prevalent mental health, right? Um, issues that you were navigating, but could not find a place where they were combined and you could be supported, in both spaces. And you said that that's when you found your purpose because that was it. Look, what does Les Brown so many say? You find that problem and then you find a solution. Your business is to find that problem. And so many times I believe to that point, the things that we don't want to go through, those low spaces and and valleys in our lives, my God, they end up delivering us
Mm-hmm.
to our breakthrough and our next level. In that, yes, you're here supporting, but merging that space, I think, is so significant, so needed and necessary these days. How have you been able to successfully merge that and deliver to so many different places? You're in corporate, you're in, outside in the marketplace. How do you navigate those spaces?
Yeah, I think it's Paul that said, for the Jews I became Jews, right? So in
Yeah.
the sense, I know my value, I know my purpose, but I can flex how I deliver that purpose based on who is in front of me and what their needs are. It's
Mm,
different than what I said earlier. If I'm trying to be someone else that I'm not, I cannot sustain that. But if I'm trying to meet your need, I can take
mhm.
part of me, part of my strength, part of my abilities, and literally give you the water that you want. Maybe right now you don't want water, you want juice. I have both, right? And I know that if
Yeah.
my goal is to quench your thirst, per se, and
Come on.
water, it might not be what you want, like, you want juice, I can tailor, right, the support that I give
Yes.
to you as long as I'm meeting your need. So when I work with people, I never, 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 never push my faith on anyone. But I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many people came to me and they'll say, I was never a Christian. I don't even know if I believe in Christianity, but I love Christians because of who you are.
Mm,
And I have people say, well, I don't know what I believe right now, but would you just pray for me? And we
yeah.
were not even talking about God. So when I say I'm merging those things, it doesn't mean that every session I come, I'm like, oh, this is what God I say. I'm preaching to people. I don't do that. I meet
Yeah.
people where they are. So
Yeah.
I have people who individual sessions, for example, people who are Christian and they come, however they want to. I always tell people, this is your time. I pray whether I'm with you or not. I pray whether you're Christian or not. I will always gonna be, because those are things that keep me well and that keep me in alignment. That serves my purpose, right? So that's part of actually my own personal self care. So whether
Mm-hmm.
your people are there or not, I'm always gonna do that. But when I'm with people, it's their time, and they guide what that time is supposed to be like. How we still that time. They're the one guiding it. Some people start with prayer. Some people we talk and then we pray at the end. Some people we don't even pray at all. And I'm talking here about Christian clients who they know that I'm Christian, they're Christian. We walk through the session, but I'm incorporating their values through everything I'm sharing with them. So
Yeah.
when they tell me, for example, right now, I don't know, this yesterday actually, I was away for a conference, Saturday. I didn't go to do counseling. I was attending a conference. And someone just started pouring the heart out and sharing. It's like, I don't know what to do right now. I feel like I'm so lost. And
Mm-hmm.
so I took a step back. I kind of just reminded them of the things they already told me, that they wanted to honor God with their time and the money, that they
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of options right now. But so I reminded them of that first, what they already have going on for them. And I said, maybe the sense of feeling lost is maybe an illusion. Maybe you're now lost. Maybe you have more options than you realize. And instead of
Mm.
thinking about just one option has to be this or that, sometimes God does this and that. That was it.
Come on. True.
and and that was her breakthrough. I didn't leave my house from PA to Texas with that in my head, right? But in that moment, because of what she shared, I could take that, right? If you want, take that and mix it with the gift that I have, with the tools that I have, and help her see things differently based on what she had already told me. So it's not me forcing what I believe on people. It's helping people can discover who they are, discover what they already have going on for them, the strengths that they have, the resources they have, and using it to again be well, do well, work well, lead well. Right? Often when we're under stress, when we're dealing with a situation, it's so easy to feel like they only see the cup half empty, right? I don't see it also half full. Often our brains are wired as human when and if you think about it, if you enter a room, you're most likely going to pick up on the chair that's tipped over, the flowers that are not centered, before you even notice maybe that there was a beautiful chandelier up in the middle of the ceiling, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
our brain will often look for what is not well good or what is wrong, and we have to train it to start seeing the good things, to start seeing what is actually going well for us. And so again, whether I'm in corporate, whether I'm with someone
Mm.
individually, I just help people do that. And so when I go to corporate, I talk about stress management. I remind people what is what's important to you. What are your values? What do you work for? At the end of the day, yes, we need to pay bills, but at the end of the day, you can have all the money in the world and not be happy. I've seen people like that. People that have dollars that
Yeah.
I can't even read on paper, that I've never seen in my eyes, right? But they'll tell you that they're miserable. So money does
Mhm.
not buy happiness. Let's just be real
It
with that.
does.
Yes, we need money, and God called us to prosper as our soul prospers. I believe in that. But again, if you don't know who you are, then all the other stuff don't matter. You cannot live in alignment. So I just help people
Mm,
again discover who they are, how to use their resources, and then I pull in the values that they already shared with me, and they dictate how we're going to incorporate that faith into that session. And sometimes I don't even the people who incorporate, for example, I don't even talk about faith, but my values, or I
yeah.
come from a faith, right? And then I serve from that vessel, from that platform, if that makes sense. Again, I can
Yeah,
go on and on. I love that stuff. I love this stuff. So feel free to
I
interrupt me
know.
anytime.
That is so that's so good. And clearly, as you were saying that, yes, we don't have to throw our faith at anyone. Even God spoke in parables. He broke it down. And so there are core principles that we live by. Um, and that's so good. And I always say to someone, I say to people, even when we're in sessions, I could be praying in my mind, and you don't even know what happened to you. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
You don't even they don't even know. And but just being who you are and being the light, um and that's what's needed. You um Oh my goodness. So you basically said, this is what I wrote down, that reframing, when you said a lot of times we look at what's not, or those negative things, before we even see the beauty in the room, or the beautiful sunlight, or whatever it may be. And sometimes, and it through that perspective, we limit. God might, and it's not this or that, like you said, this and that. He could be giving you. That's powerful. I said, shoe, don't make me have to pick up my shoe and throw my shoe. What is going on?
Yeah, yeah, it's
That's
true.
powerful. How many times do we limit? Those who are watching or replay, um, are you limiting yourself right now? Do you have a limiting perspective or abundant perspective? A limiting mindset or an abundance mindset? That might be impeding you from seeing all the opportunity, as opposed to the things that you think is a challenge in your life. And so I think that's so powerful. And in that, you're saying to shift your perspective, train your brain, is what I heard you say
Hmm.
without saying it.
Literally, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's I tell that to my clients. We have to train our brains, right? So in the psych and counseling where we talk about rewiring our brain, right? And
Mhm.
then the Bible says what? Do not conform, right? To the
Right. To be transformed.
there you go. We have to transform our mind. It's the exact same thing. Exact same thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's so powerful. So we're talking about being well, doing well, but doing it God's way. What does that mean? You talked about it a little bit. But let's just go into it directly. Um, how did you get to this be well lady, and how did you get on this trajectory? I know you shared in your story, but why does this mean so much?
Yeah, yeah. So I share my journey with the mental health challenges, but the physical health challenges are just as many. Honestly, the lung of diagnosis became too long for me to even mention here. Honestly, I remember at one point I found myself with 14 diagnoses of chronic illnesses, and so we found out that I had a genetic, issue that was causing all the other 13 per se.
Mm.
And goodness, I've been in and out the hospital. I've been in a wheelchair. I had to stop jobs, change the way I do my work. I had been years without driving, and I realized at the end of through all of that, at the end of the day, although physically my mind was better, right? My body was not where I needed to do. It's still back to limiting. It still limited me in some ways to do all I was called to do, and I had to start reframing, looking at the opportunities and not the challenges. If I know that all things work for my good, no matter how it came through me, it came to me, then I know that whatever challenge I'm looking at, it's just an opportunity for my next level. And I've done more, honestly, in my quote unquote years of so-called disability, physically, emotionally, than I ever did what I was physically, I looked well in the eye of people. And then I realized that in order for me to be able to work well, not just with people and but also in my work and what I was called to do, my well-being matters. I found so many leaders, like getting to the lead well. So many leaders will put the hat on. I lead at home, I lead at work, I lead in my community, I lead in my church. And we, yes, there's no perfect love in living our lives out for others, but we live our lives out for others, we're forgetting that there's another other that we have to live our lives for tomorrow. So if I lay it all, right? If I don't get up from laying it all, tomorrow I cannot pick up, so I cannot support someone else. And so, in order for me to get to the part to leading, I'm not was born to be a leader. For us as parents, talk about parenting earlier. As parents, you're a leader for your children. You're a leader in your home, as a spouse, as even as a single parent, right? You're a leader in
Yeah.
your community. It's not about a title; it's the influence that you have. And if all of us, those of us here who identify as people of faith as Christian, we know that we have an influence. When we talk about God, we say we pray or pray not praise, mention a scripture or not, we are influencing people to a better way of living,
Yeah.
right? And so, in order for me to do that, I need to start by first rewiring my own brain, right? Transferring my
Mhm.
own mind, see myself as more than, not less than, see myself
Yeah.
as more than able. Then, no matter what, what challenges come my way, for me, it was both physical and emotional. And I needed to change that first. And when I was able to see myself for all that I am, and I know my vision will always, always be limited. I often joke with the glasses, like, yeah, if I take my glasses, I can see you. Then you see my people's going left and right because I can't converge. Right? I said, just as the natural, that's what happens in
Yeah.
my eyes. Even in if you think the spiritual, that's the same thing happens for all of us. Because I
Mm.
only know what I know here today, right? But what am I doing with what I know here today in order to get to where I need to be tomorrow? I will not get there. I cannot do well tomorrow if I'm not well enough today to plan it, to think it, to create it.
Mm.
And then once I'm well enough to do that, I can work well to do it. Then I'm able to pull others into it. Then I'm truly leading well. I'm not leading from a place of inferiority. I'm not leading from a place of self-doubt. I'm not leading from imposter syndrome. I'm not leading from a place of lack. Let's go there, right? I'm leading from a
Let's
place of
go.
strength and a place of abundance. Then I can actually truly lead people well. So for me, that from my own experience, God's still showing me that. And then through supporting others, I realized I'm not the only one who wants to lead well but did not do the well-being myself, where I'm not well, I'm not doing well, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, whatever, and then
Mm-hmm.
I hear I want to work well with people and then lead them. It doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
It just does not work. So in all before, and I tell this to leaders all the time, whether you're leading in your church, you're leading at home, you're leading at work, in the community. Here's what I tell people: a great leader is first a self leader.
Mm.
I
Yep.
need to lead myself well in order to lead others well. And leading myself well is taking care of this temple that God has given me, right? Taking care of this physical body, the emotions, and dealing with the trauma that maybe I've been suffocating and that have been suffocating me, that I've been suppressing for so many years, to the point it's still manifesting in my health. Let's talk about it. Especially in the Black and
Mm.
Brown community, we don't talk about emotions. I think it's a taboo. We throw things under the rug. What happens behind this closed door? Nobody needs to know, and we're all continuing to live as traumatized people, and it's impacting our health. It's impacting our health to so many levels.
Yeah.
So if we don't start pulling all the monsters out of the from under the carpet and out of the
Yeah.
closet and dealing with
Yeah.
it individually first, we cannot get to the point where leading others well. So I need to be well, right, and as well as I can of doing everything that's within my power to to achieve that state of well-being. And it's a journey. It's not a box that you check. Let's be real on that, right? I need to
Yeah.
be, although, yes, right now I'm doing better than I did 10 years ago, I still want tomorrow to do better than I'm doing today at all levels. And when I'm when I'm do that, then it's easier for me to work from that place of strength, from that place of abundance, from that place of, a place of higher, if you want, even perspective. And then it becomes easier for others to follow me. We're asking people to follow us to nowhere. Let's be real. You can't be a leader if you have no vision. You can't have a vision if you have not cleared your mind from all the junk that's in
Yep.
there.
Exactly.
Sorry, I
That's
can
so
go on
good.
and on.
No, no, like those who are watching, drop something in the chat. Let us know y'all hear us loud and clearly. Wow. She was definitely dropping so many precious like nuggets tonight that it is our hope, it is our prayer, it is our goal, it is our intent that you are able to not just get information, but the information that goes in, it forms the action, which is the action. What are you going to do about the information that is being shared tonight? It should be able to not only inspire you, but empower you to take action in your lives, to move from stuck to manifestation to execution, to get moving on what you believe God has purpose for you to do. Whether you're an A or whether you feel like you're in the middle, whether you're a little bit further along, wherever you may find yourself today. As she started out at, we are meeting you at the point of your need. Meeting you at the point of your need. What are you in need of today? Do you have to take a pause and say, hey, who am I? Am I starting there? Or I know who I am, but I don't know what I'm purposed to do. Where are you at in that conversation? We're here about connecting the pieces, alignment. She mentioned alignment. All of those things are so important. My next question, Lady T, you jump in when but I have a question. So we know that this is not, it's about the journey and not the destination. We hear that, right? Um, when you are in purpose or on this, in this process, in this journey, um, is it okay to serve, be, and do if you don't feel as though you're at the top of your game or the peak? I'm not going to say peak because again, it's a part of the journey and the process, but you know what I'm saying, at the top of your game. I feel like I know what but from your area of expertise,
Yeah.
how would you have someone to navigate? Like, and financially, they might be, at the top. Emotionally, they kind of like still navigating, but they got some support. But what would you say? I think you got my
Yeah,
point.
I think, yeah, I get your point. I think, like you said earlier, some of us are point A, some of us are at D, some of us are at M. If you're looking at the alphabet, some of us maybe are close to Z,
Right.
whatever goal we're working on. If you are even at B, there's somebody that's still on spot A that could use your help.
Mm.
If I waited, and I've said this many times, people who know me know, I've heard me say this, many times, even I would post about this on my personal page on social media. If I waited for my life to be perfect to do what I was called to do, I would have never done anything with my life. I would have done nothing, seriously, nothing with my life, because there was always something. There was the divorce, there was the single parenting, there were kids in the hospital, there was too many therapy sessions, and then I was in the hospital, then I was in the wheelchair. It was like, there was always something that was always coming in the way, and I could have get focused so much on all the things that were seemed like obstacles, right? I could remember again, who am I?
Yeah.
What was I created to do and be? Right? And that changed everything. And went back to being in alignment with who you are. I also cannot tell you how many times I will feel so depleted, like because of the health issues, my own physical health issues, that I'm like, I have nothing to give. And then someone will reach out not knowing what's going on. Not that they know, it's not that they knew and they're just like, oh, I'm putting more on me. No, not knowing what's going on. They're like, hey, do you have time to talk? And I'll be like, well, can you give me an hour? I'll take a nap. But I don't tell them I take a nap. So I can call you at this time. And even
Yeah.
when I show up in an hour, there's so many
Mm.
sessions, sessions, and I've no shame in sharing that with my clients that I've done from my bed that nobody will know when I'm not my bed at my desk. But I'm telling you, like, there's so many sessions I've done from my bed,
Yeah.
because I realized again what was in me will help someone else. I rather go to my grave empty, right, and then to take all that I was created to be and do and take it with me to my grave will not serve anybody. So with every little ounce of breath that I have, every little ounce of strength that I have, there was a purpose for it that was greater than myself. So if someone else
Mm,
needs me
mm,
and
mm.
I have the ability to do it, I will do it. I've written books from hospital beds. I can
Come
believe, like,
on.
my first actually article, a blog post about there was a blog post that went viral. Was actually I was from my first stroke like episode. I'm there, couldn't talk, and I had to write everything. And I'm sitting there. A family members comes and tell me, well, you cannot afford to be disabled. And I'm like, whoa, when I struggle with mental health challenges, I felt more miserable than I was at that point. But because it was internal, it was my own problem. People didn't feel bothered by it. But when it
Mm.
became physical, that people could see that I couldn't talk, I couldn't walk, they became ashamed of who I was. And so them saying that, oh, you cannot afford to be disabled, it had nothing to do with me because I was disabled before nobody cared, right? Because it was just my own problem. But now it started impacting them. People started feeling uncomfortable with my reality. And I'm just like, this, yes, it was not fun to go through that, but I knew there was something better and bigger. So I'm literally sitting there out of anger from that comment. I read this blog post that I can afford to be disabled. And there was a whole twist to it, how society sees disability, how even faith community could do better, embracing people as they are and letting God be God, right? And from that space, some organizations start sharing it, and I'm like, whoa, I didn't expect all that. It was almost like a little journal entry that I had to do for my own processing that ended up helping so many people in the process. So my point again, if you know who you are, it doesn't matter in which situation you are, you know that someone else needs what you got. And I rather give that to the person who needs it than go empty. So yes, there are always going to be people who are ahead of you. There's going to be people who are better than you. There's going to be people who can do it, who have it all, whatever, however you look at it. But you're not comparing. I encourage us to not compare ourselves to anybody else. Back to knowing who I am, right? If I'm just trying to stay in my own lane, my shoes lane, it has to be better today than it was yesterday. And Shu has someone,
Mm.
I might be at point B right now emotionally, but what I learned at point A, somebody that didn't make it to point A still needs that. And maybe
Mm.
maybe it's a Facebook post that I'll put there can help someone that I'll never meet. You have purpose. I don't care where you are in your journey, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. I believe that each and every one of us has something to contribute on this earth. You can either die with it and do yourself and the whole world a disservice, or you can empty it out and die empty whenever that day comes. So
Yeah.
I encourage all of us, keep serving. You don't have to wait to have it all figured out to serve. Serve from the place that you are now and share what you learned yesterday. And maybe tomorrow you'll learn differently. You're like, oh, I know better, I do better. Now that I know better, I can go and correct what I thought yesterday was, it was the truth or whatever you want
Mm.
to call it. But someone else might have needed that in that moment. There's times I say things, I'm like, where did it even come from? And then I get a text, I get a message, I get, something like, well, I needed that. I'm like, okay, that was so random for me, but I just felt like I needed to release it. And there you never know. So serve from where you are because the world still needs you, even when you think you don't have it.
Woo. Just drop the mic. Just drop it. Throw it, drop it, slide down with it. Like, which way you want to go? Like, sure, you on fire, okay?
I love this stuff.
I mean, clearly, it is your purpose work. This is
Yeah.
your lane. And I'm not without words, right? But it's just in deep reflection because it's so powerful when we dare to go on the journey, when we dare to shift our minds and our perspective from what's easy. It's easy when you're going through a challenge and you're faced with a challenge, you're faced with a disability. But what you said, what I heard from what you said is that, you know what, I removed, deleted the excuses in my hospital bed from the place where I'm in, a low position that I thought I was in. I'm still impacting the world. I'm making a difference. I'm going viral. And the time when you probably ain't even worried about going viral. You're trying to get what's in you out. Your mind is not even there. But when you dare to lean in and be resilient, because that's what resilience is, swinging back. You might have a moment, but I'm not going to state it. Somebody right now is having a moment. Somebody is in a place, in a position, in a season in their lives. They're in a holding pattern or feel like they're stuck and they don't know how to do well, be well. lead well. From what I've heard you say tonight, we talked about the mental health, the emotional part, the physical and the spiritual. But what I'm also hearing is this holistically, you put the financial in there. We're talking about being well holistically in every aspect that you could possibly think of. Um, I know you shared a lot tonight, but for that person or those individuals who may be listening tonight and like, I don't know how to do any of this. What would be the starting point? What would that look like? What are the tips? What would you leave with them tonight?
I think let's go back to square one. Who am I? Because everything builds from there, right?
Mm,
So when I feel like I'm not well, I can't do well, I can't work well, I can't, lead well, I need to go back to my identity. So take a moment, ask yourself, who am I? And if you have to do it on paper, you have encourage people to do on paper, and even look at different areas of your life. For at home, who am I? At work, at church, in my community, and just start writing things that comes to mind. What are the things? And maybe you're like, well, I don't know. I wrote that. They just really feel like me. Okay, but what are the things that keep you up at night? What are the things that when you see on TV, you hear on social media, it just makes you dread? Because like, this cannot be this way. It has to be different. There has to be a different way. Often your purpose is kind of hides in that, right? And then start finding the things that literally, just makes your heart leap for joy. Things that you can do for hours and hours and then realize, time has passed by. What time has passed by? Things that bring you joy, things that bring you peace, things that bring you. When I say things, it could be places, even so things, places, activities, people. Start just even writing that down. Take time to just journal about that, and then I want you to start seeing the connections between them. They're not coincidences. Like literally, you're going to start seeing patterns, and out of that pattern, you can start defining who you are. Because if I'm at work, if I'm with my cousins, if I'm at the cookout, or if I'm even in the bus, I'm there telling people, asking people how they're doing, what their name, know how their day's going. That tells me something about who you are. You're the one that's always greeting people at church, at the grocery store. So you have that sense of caring and nurturing, right? Those are the patterns I'm talking about. So it's not always a title. Look
yeah.
at the different, functions that you have, the different activities that you do, things that it doesn't matter where you are, that you always do it. It just comes out of you. And then, once you kind of do that brainstorming, then pull those things out and make a list of that. Okay, I see I'm an encourager. I see that I'm a lover, meaning that you just love people, not just love in a romantic sense, but you literally love people. And those of us who are often, lover of people, not people that we end up doing well with, more connecting with individuals than doing things with him. The joke goes in the house that don't ask mom to fix anything. She will just tell you, never mind. Right? But if you ask me to, if somebody, feels like there's something needs to be fixing in them, now I'm not, fixing people, but something like, this emotion needs to be back in alignment, right? There are decisions I need to make. I'm your person. So start finding those patterns in your own life. And then once you have that, then you start asking yourself, who must I become in order to live in those spaces fully? Who must I become? Maybe you have to let go of people pleasing. If I just listen to what everybody thought that I should be doing, I was sharing some of this with someone. I know we're kind of running out of time, and I'm going to go quickly here. So I'm originally from Brazzaville, Congo. I was in the U.S. when I was younger, and then came back at age 20. And I remember when I came back, someone was telling me, like, you love me, you love, helping people. You should be a nurse. You're never going to run out of job. I went, signed up for community college. I really had some college courses that I took, 2 years of college back in Africa. But then I went to community college to try to be a nurse. And I had to drop anatomy and physiology twice right before they put that F on my transcript. As much as I love helping people, knowing about people's bones and joints and every cell in the body, that was not me, and it's still not
That
me.
wasn't it. Right.
I could care less, right? I know they don't have to function well, but I couldn't memorize any of them, and you needed to be able to pass the test. So after
Mm,
failing at that twice, I'm like, there has to be something different. And then someone told me like, well, you kind of have this business sense. Why don't you go for business? Well, then I did business administration. And that I needed that. I still need that to run my business. Now that business consulting will be 10 years in January. So I need those skills, but that still was not it. It
Yeah.
was until I started turning into social services and counseling and mental health. And I'm like, here I found my place. And I share that to say that as you are going to journey, you might have to evolve to finally get there. Even when I
Mhm.
knew, it took me a while to find out that my way of helping was in this lane. But even when I got there, it looks different today than it looked when I first started 9.5 years ago. I didn't know
Absolutely.
that I would be doing coaching as well. I didn't know that I would be doing corporate training. I didn't know that I would be, do the writing books. But my purpose has not changed. It just now I use different avenues to do the only exact thing that God has called me to do. Comfort my people.
That's so good. So with that, you had to be open to the different ways and arenas and not again limit yourself to just one place,
It's this and that.
this and that. And so I want you all to lean into the this and that when God's math is not our math. His multiplication is not our matter of fact, his subtraction, when we look like things are being subtracted and divided from us, the way he cuts his pie is not the same way we cut ours. When we're giving out good, and oh my goodness. So we have to be open to because it's not just one way to get there. Sometimes he reroutes us, and the rerouting doesn't mean that we got lost. It could be leading us because there were other things that we needed to get on that journey of the rerouting. Another perspective. I've been living in Baltimore City, Baltimore, Maryland for years, but I'm still learning and exploring and finding, oh my goodness, this was down here on the backside of Boston Street. What? I never knew this is like a whole nother city or town here. Jewels. And so be open to exploring. Listen, I've been charged up tonight. I've been challenged. I've been blessed abundantly. Savannah, we see you out there. Savannah said, I was just thinking about this today. I thank God for this temple. Entourage, I see you out there. You said challenge and obstacles create a renewed spiritual mindset.
Woo! I've been to church. Love it.
Listen, we've been, and there's so many others. We want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. I don't know about you, but I can get some more and more and more and more and more shit.
Is
This
it
is good.
Yeah, is it okay if I share one thing just quickly?
Like, go
I
for it. We still
Okay,
have
so
some time. Go for it.
awesome. When you were sharing about how God subtract and multiply and divide and add, it's not the way we do it. It reminded me. I actually saw this clip on Facebook. I can't remember the preacher's name, but he was saying that there's many ways to get. I can't remember which number he used, but so I'll just use four. Right? There's many ways to
Mhm,
get to four. Two plus two
mhm.
is four. Three plus one is four. Five minus one is four. Right? 16 divided by four is four. Two times two is four.
Yeah.
Your purpose might be one thing, but God can use different avenues. The way, if you say, dividing it, like, subtracting it, adding to it, multiplying things for you to do what you were called to do. It does not always have to be to look the way that you want it to do. His way are always higher and better. And the more we surrender, whoo, there's just a blissful life in surrender.
Oh my goodness. That is so good. That is so good. Like, yes. I mean, we have to just rest and trust and just know. I really know, I know that this is a season that we have to lean into what we know. No, like your KNOW, because things are changing quickly and swiftly. And I challenge you tonight, if you don't know what to know, call us, plug in. She was going to share her information. Connect with us here, sister to sister. We would be happy, elated to connect with you one on one, collectively, together, whatever we need to do, because we're on a mission. And as much as we have our individual assignments, we also have assignment to move together in unity as well for the greater good and the call that's on our lives. And we help people, we help individuals because God reached and helped us and still pulling us up moment by moment, second by second. As you were saying that, it was another quote that I heard, or a preacher, it was someone who said, when we feel like we're broken, right? When we're broken into pieces, that's God's way of multiplying us again. He's multiplying us yet again. We feel like we're shattered and scattered. But he like, baby, all your pieces is how I just multiplied you. So you can serve the more. But you feeling bruised and all of these things. So, it's again going back to the reframing and the perspective and aligning our minds and our hearts with God and knowing who we are. And it's so funny that we started out with that, because I was having a conversation earlier. Do we know who we really are? This done stirred up so much in me tonight. I'm excited for what God is doing and what He's yet to do, and for this divinely assigned moment tonight. Lady T, what's on your mind? What's on your heart? How are you feeling over there?
Um, I mean, you just said a whole mouthful, and you dropped a lot of amazing gems tonight. Something that resonated with me is essentially I heard that you did not come into agreement with what other people try to speak over you, whether it was while you were in the hospital bed, whether it was them saying what you should go to school for. You didn't come into agreement with those things. You sought out God's plan for you for yourself. And I think a lot of times our problem is we are asking other people what we should do and what they think we're good at and what they think, instead of going to the source.
Mm,
They can think all the things,
come on.
but until you seek it for yourself, sometimes our problem is we come into agreement with what something spoke over us that was never intended to be for our lives.
That's good.
And so then we have to spend time backtracking and detouring, all because we weren't on the right path to begin with.
My goodness, yeah.
And you never came into agreement with those things. You didn't come into agreement with people's discomfort with your reality. You allowed them to be uncomfortable. And if we can allow people to be uncomfortable with our discomfort, with our reality, or whatever the case may be, we will find ourselves in such a better space and place, because it's not our job to make people comfortable when the Lord is doing a work in us.
Woo! Say that one more time.
Yeah.
It is not our job to make people comfortable when the Lord is doing a work in us. Because when the Lord is doing a work, He's going to do it the way He wants to do it. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be cute. We're not going to look cute.
Yeah. Lord
It's
knows
going to
it
be
doesn't.
moments of crying ugly tears and really and sometimes isolation and all the things. It's,
Yeah.
but once that time is over,
Glory.
Woo! Jesus, thank you, Lord.
Mm.
it's once that time is over,
when your due season arrives.
Listen, and you reap that harvest, and everything that you've sown in tears and
Mm,
sown in struggle and sown in just believing God for that moment. You've
mm.
sown in trust, you've sown in praying. When that time comes, because it's easy to be around when everything is comfortable. It's easy to be around then. But it's not my job to make you comfortable when the Lord is doing a work in me. Because if I start to make you comfortable, then I am going to shortchange myself of the blessing that He has for me. And I'm not.
We don't have that time. We don't have
And
no
I
time for
just,
error.
and that's what I heard you say. I heard that you didn't come into agreement with these things that people were trying to speak over you. You journeyed on your own, no matter what that looked like, no matter how uncomfortable that made people around you. And if we do that, then we'll always reap the benefits and reap the rewards. And we won't get anything less than God's best for us.
And it's not always easy, but it's worth it.
Mm, mm, mm,
Yes.
mm. Wow, that's a whole mouthful. I see y'all in the chats. They say, yes, 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 yes. Listen, this has been amazing. Shu, as we are closing out tonight, share it with us how we can stay connected with you, where to find you. If someone wants to get connect with you for any of the merit of things that you provide, your services and gifts and talents and skill set, how do they get connected?
Yeah. So if you're looking for support more in your professional life, um, the website for that is graceandhopeconsulting.com. So on there, you'll see the corporate training we do, the career coaching, um, and things of those nature, that has to do with professional development. If you're looking for more support in your personal life, Grace and Hope for Families.org is where you can find more about what we do for people, how we support people with depression, anxiety, and also, chronic health issues. People are caregivers, people who are even adjusting to being in a new country, like, all of those things. Relationships, all of that under Grace and Hope for Families.org. And if you want to connect with me directly, I'll share my phone number. I tell people texting is probably best because when I'm in session, I can't answer phone call. When I'm traveling, I can't answer phone calls. So if you text me, we can always set up a time to talk. And actually, on both of those websites, there's actually a link. You can also schedule a time there to talk with me. But my phone number is area code 717-216-0230. You can text me and it comes straight to me. I might not
Awesome.
respond right away, but I always will respond and connect with you.
Amazing. We're so appreciative of all of the gems that you've sent us, that you shared with us tonight. I placed your website in the chat here. And so you all connect. Is your books there too? Because you're an author. Your books, everything is there.
So the books used to be there, and then it just became too busy. So the
Okay.
books are actually on a different website, writewebshoe.com. And on there, you'll find my books as well,
Awesome, awesome,
writewebshoe.com. So I
awesome.
do writing on my own. I write with others, and there's also kind of therapeutic journaling sessions that we do. So that's all under that website, writewebshoe.com.
Love it, love it, love it. And they can also find you on Facebook and Instagram. Is under your name
Yeah,
if
on
they
the
want
Chou
to.
Hallegra. Yeah, yeah. And I,
Okay.
I get so many messages there. So something, if you don't hear back from me, that's what I think. Just probably texting me. That would be easier. But you can follow me on social media on the Chou Hallegra. I'm there.
Awesome,
Yeah,
awesome,
LinkedIn,
awesome.
Facebook, Instagram. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, she gave you her direct connect, her number. Like look, you can get her directly there. And so we're so blessed to have had you tonight. Thank you so much. We're definitely going to stay connected. So many phenomenal things. Keep us posted on what you're doing, and we'll definitely do the same here. Thank you so much. Y'all, again, let's give some love to Chou Hallegra for coming out tonight. Again, thank you. Stay connected with us, y'all. We're going higher and higher and higher. We are definitely on fire in a good way over here at Sister to Sister Talk Power Moves. Next week, join us for another powerful flowing segment next Monday. Take care, take charge, and God bless you. Have an amazing night. Thank you, Chou.